Hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Artifact Ambassadors info session. And so excited that everyone is here. We're going to begin just now. As people are rolling in, I want to just share some housekeeping. So everyone is muted to control our background noise. And this session is being recorded. We invite you to open the chat. We're going to be actively using the chat, so go ahead and turn that on. And as we see some people rolling in, please go ahead and post a greeting in the chat. Let us know where you're joining from. All right, so I'd like to begin with some introductions, and I want to begin by introducing the team. I'm Tony Guglielmo, Executive Director of Artefect. I've been in this position for about 3.5 years, and I'm based in Santa Monica, California. We've been running the program and growing Artefect in so many wonderful ways, and one of them is through professional development and our Ambassadors Fellowship. So we're just delighted that everyone is joining farm-wide this evening, and excited to tell you about the program for the upcoming year. So also on the team this evening, I'm joined by Connor Walden, our project manager, and Katie Ward, our program assistant. So I'm going to have them say a quick hello.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Connor. I'm the project manager with Artifact here in Santa Monica. I've been with the team for about 2.5 years, and yeah, just so excited for this next Ambassadors Fellowship. So excited to tell you all about it today.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie. I help out with Artifact from time to time, and I'm always excited when I get the opportunity to see everyone join these calls. So I'm just really excited to be here.
Thank you. And I'm also delighted to introduce our new Director of Education for Artifact, Amy Charleroi, who is joining us this evening. She hasn't officially come on board yet, but very soon in September, she will be working with the Ambassadors Program in our professional development. So Amy, would you like to say a quick hello?
Sure. Hi, everyone, and thanks for the welcome. Yeah, I am, as Tony said, the incoming director of education, and just feeling, sorry, really lucky to be here for this little kind of sneak preview a couple of weeks ahead of time to begin joining everybody on this journey this year. So thanks for having me.
Great, thank you, Amy. We can't start soon enough. So so excited that you're going to be with us in the upcoming year. All right, well, we are going to talk about, well, actually, I wanted to get a sense of everyone in the who's meeting with us this evening. So Connor's going to bring up a quick poll, and this will allow us to see where all of you are joining, or all of you are coming from in terms of your role, the grade level that you teach. So there's 3 quick questions: your primary role, and whether you're new to Artifact or returning.
Okay, what's going on?
All right, so just go give it like another, almost done with the poll. Right, so let's go ahead and close that poll and we can see our results. Okay, so let's take a quick look at this. We have, in terms of everyone gathered here this evening, okay, so 53% are in grades 9 through 12. Awesome. Another almost half of the group in grades 6 through 8, middle school, and then some elementary school teachers. Okay, welcome. And then we have the majority of you at 76% classroom teachers, and welcome to our administrators, a few of you there, and some nonprofit administrator and staff. Okay, awesome. And then some other people. Hopefully we'll get to hear about where you're from this evening as we go into the program. And then I am new to Artifact. Awesome, 71%. So that's wonderful. And then we have some of our returning ambassadors, some of you that have been following us, and great. So we're excited to welcome everyone to the program this evening. Right, so we're going to move on with our agenda for the evening. And we are going to be talking a little bit about the Artifact programs to give you some background since most of you are new. We're going to move into the details of the fellowship, the Ambassadors Fellowship, talk about the overview of the program, what's involved, the eligibility and the timeline. We're going to hear this evening, so delighted that we have 4 guest speakers and maybe some others that are joining us, previous ambassadors, to share about their experience going through the fellowship. And then we have time for Q&A at the end of our program. But I know you will have questions as we go through the session. So Katie is going to be monitoring the chat, and we can pause periodically. So if any questions come up, I invite you to go ahead and post them in the chat, and then we will be monitoring those questions there. Okay, great. So I want to begin with an overview of Artefect and just tell you a little bit about what we do here. So Artefect is a growing visual arts education initiative. We are focused on inviting students and educators to explore the stories of unsung heroes from history through the visual arts and also arts integration. We look at the unsung heroes as role models and kind of celebrate their stories. And we have 3 main areas of programs. These are annual competitions for students in grades 6 through 12, international competitions, exhibitions, and professional development. So let's take a look first at the focus on unsung heroes. So when we're looking at unsung heroes, we're talking about people from history that have been largely overlooked, that haven't gotten the recognition that they deserve. So they're not the typical people that you find in the history books. And we look at them as role models, I mentioned. So we're looking at their stories. But we define an unsung hero as someone who has done, taken extraordinary actions and demonstrated extraordinary character traits, such as courage, compassion, perseverance. They've made a lasting, positive, and profound impact on the lives of others, on communities, on the course of history, really. And these stories are brought to light through our companion program at the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes, the Discovery Award. So we have over 150 stories of the unsung heroes that have been brought to light, and they span all the centuries and all fields of endeavors. So in Artefect, our students are working with a list of these individuals, and they choose an individual from the list to create an Artefect project, tell their story through the visual arts, and also write an impact statement. And that's kind of like the typical Artefect project. And Katie is posting a link to the directory on our website where you can see and at your leisure explore some more of these stories. Okay, and so as I mentioned, we focus on their character traits and values. And so we're developing a framework where we're really looking at the ability for young artists to recognize their power in art making. And this is our word wheel where we're just sharing some of these heroic actions and traits. But what I really wanted to share here is this quote from our founder, Lowell Milken, who you saw as one of our team members. One individual has the power to make a positive and profound difference in the lives of others. And this really speaks to the unsung hero, as I was sharing, someone who's made a profound difference, who's done something at great personal risk and sacrifice. But it really also speaks to what we hope to embolden in young artists, that they can recognize that through their art making, they have a voice and they have the power to share a story that with an object that has a life of its own, that has carries its own message for its intended audience, and that can have a positive impact. And also as educators, since all of us are educators, I want to say that we are all this individual who makes a positive and profound difference in the lives of our students, and we often go unrecognized. So just want to thank you and applaud you for showing up this evening, for yourself and for this professional development opportunity. Okay, so on the next slide, I mentioned that Artefect runs student art competitions, and I want to just tell you briefly about that. So we run 2 competitions. We run an annual competition, and this year we've started a new summer competition. The competitions are open the annual competition is open to students in grades 6 through 12. The summer competition, which is currently open through September 15th, is open to high school students. It's a little bit more focused because of the short term, the compressed timeline. And we decided to give it a thematic emphasis. So this year we're looking at innovators. So if you're interested in any opportunities that are currently running, we invite you to take a look at the summer competition. What's really exciting about the competitions are that we accept all different kinds of artworks, 2D and 3D, and there are juried competitions, and we have been awarding prizes to students. So financial prizes, the grand prize for the annual competition is $6,000. And last year, on the next slide, you can see some quick winners here. Last year's competition, which was the 2026 competition that closed in June, we awarded 46 prizes to students from around the world, including 14 countries worldwide, and over $45,000 in financial prizes. So Kate is posting some links, and you can check out these amazing artworks as well. So here are our young artists celebrating the unsung heroes who have inspired them as role models. And the last thing I mentioned at the beginning is the area of exhibitions that Artefect is also developing. So we display award-winning artworks in 2 venues right now at the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes in Fort Scott, Kansas, which is a partner organization where that Discovery Award, where the stories of the unsung heroes come from, and also the Milken Center for Advancing the American Dream, which is a new facility that opened in September of 2025. And on the next slide, you can see that Artefect, we are just thrilled that Artefect has a 3,000 square foot exhibition space here where we've put on display award-winning artworks from students over the past 10 years and displaying the artworks with quotes from the student's impact statement and a short bio about the unsung heroes. So we invite you to explore this new and exciting venue in DC. All right, so I want to welcome I want to tell you about professional development and welcome our ambassadors that are on the call. We're going to hear from them shortly. So the fellowship that you're interested in, it's a program that's been running for 3 years. We're entering our 4th year. We've had in the last 3 years 87 fellows participate from around the United States and across 36 different states. So I'm just excited that we've got another year coming, and the cohort is about 28 to 30. We've kind of varied, but let's say an average of 30 educators per year. So part of this fellowship is coming into a growing and expanding learning community. So on this next slide, I want to begin talking about our program now. And I invite you to just take a look at this question and put in the chat your reflection. We can just use some rapid fire responses. What are you seeking? So you've come here for a reason, and I really would like to kind of just off the top of your head, what is it that interests you about this program? What was it that you saw? Was it the Unsung Heroes? Was it the professional development? Was it the online? Just let's see some responses in the chat about what you are interested in. Okay, empowering students. A new way to engage students in history. Awesome. Advancing your students' artwork, the amazing community. These are great. Bringing light to the voices and stories of unsung heroes. Okay, great. Professional development and engaging students. Okay, these are all awesome. Okay, well, you're in the right place. So we are going to touch upon all of that. And let's take a closer look at the program. So what does it mean to be an ambassador? This program is, it's designed for you working throughout the year so that you have the flexibility to participate in online modules. So it's all online. We focus on instructional practice. So we're really looking at providing resources, lesson plans, skills, and a community where we're looking at how you might have the ability to go a little bit deeper in any of the instructional practices that you might have wanted to do, like a new medium or a new technique for working with your students, Also, any area that you might be interested that relates to the stories like social impact or, specific STEAM subjects. You participate in a series of online modules, and at the end, you are doing a capstone project. So this is the way that it's very learner-centered and it can be a lot of different things. And I'll show you some examples. But basically what you're going to do is towards the end of the year, bring it all together in some meaningful way in your classroom and community. And we'll look at some examples of that. Also, as an ambassador, you're representing ARTEFFECT. So we're going to be sending you materials about the competition. Your students are welcome to participate in the competition. Some of our previous ambassadors end up talking about their experience at conferences or writing an article. So it's really an opportunity for you to learn what we're about and then incorporate that and represent it out in ways that are meaningful. We have our cohort. We also have an online community where we're sharing and supporting each other. And we will promote the ambassadors through press release, your profiles on our website. And Katie, I think, is posting some of the previous ambassadors on the website. And certificate of participation for all of the hours that you're investing, as well as a $12.50 stipend and a $2.50 materials credit. So that's kind of the headlines, and we can take a closer look at specifically the structure of the program. So on the next slide, we can look at the dates. So these are key dates as you're evaluating whether you want to make this commitment. So there's 6 modules. Module 1 and 6 are mandatory because they're like the program overview kickoff where all of us are on the call, and module 1 and module 6 is where we all present our capstone project. So those 2 dates, October 28th, 2026 and April 7th, 2027 are mandatory. And then in between, there's the individual modules. We have these topics and you are required to attend at least 2 others, so 4 modules out of the 6. But many of the ambassadors come to all of them. So you have some flexibility if you can't make all of these sessions. The program officially kicks off October 28th and it ends June 1st. Throughout the program, you are also meeting with other peer mentors and meeting with the director to talk about your capstone project. Supporting each other through our informal learning channels. Okay, so let's take a look at the online modules. So these are the modules that we ran last year. This year, we're going to mix it up a bit, but just so you know, they're taught by practitioners in the field. Some of them are taught by fellows that have gone through the Lowell Milken Center Fellows Program or our Milken Educator Award winners. And they are accompanied by visual arts and arts integration lesson plans. So character and values, where we're looking at those heroic traits and actions of the unsung heroes. Visual storytelling, which is very exciting, talking about how we tell stories. We'll focus that a little bit this year, perhaps. Tighten it up. We have Unsung Heroes in STEAM, where we've looked at that framework, a STEAM framework that looks at thinking outside the box or innovation or problem solving as an approach to visual arts. Remembering the Holocaust, we have a lot of Holocaust heroes on our list, and art making and design for social impact. So these are just examples of the modules that are kind of the broad topics, and you have the schedule for that in the information sheet. And on the next slide, I want to talk about the capstone project. So I mentioned that you are all participating in the modules, 4 of the 6 with those 2 that are mandatory. And then at the end, the other thing that you're doing is that integrated capstone project. So the capstone project has to integrate the stories of the unsung heroes, obviously, because that's our program. And then you're doing something that is visual arts based. And there's some examples here. You're working with your community students in grades 6 through 12. And you can also, it's okay if you want to encourage them to participate in the annual competition. So let's take a look at some examples here. You can do an artifact lesson plan. They're meant to be turnkey. Of course, you want to adapt it for your specific classroom. And you can do that, plus, encourage your students to go into the competition. Not all the students might go to the competition, but you can do that and do a classroom exhibition or classroom visual arts activity that focuses on unsung heroes. And in the lesson plans, there's lots of ideas for how to explore and break this down in choice-based ways in your classroom. And then you can also do a professional development experience, like presenting at a conference, writing an article, teach some of our ambassadors have done PD for other ambassadors because they're at the statewide or district-wide level where they have that opportunity. So that's also an opportunity. So it's really an opportunity for you to think about what would be most meaningful in your classroom and what you can do, like what's viable, what can you take on. We are, well, there was something I wanted to say about this that's kind of important. I'm gonna forget, but okay, well, let's take a look at some examples. On the next slide, Chrissy Pondin, who is an art educator that was in our year 1 cohort, this was a presentation from her module 6 capstone report out. So she ended up doing, I'm showing it because it's kind of like an exemplar. She ended up doing like just a bit of everything. She created a website with her students' artworks that had focused on the unsung heroes. She had a reception and an exhibition in the local school, like assembly. She had a presentation at NAEA, and she also wrote an article for school art. So, but you could do one or many of these or other ideas that you may have. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. In your application, as you're filling out the application for the program, we ask you, what are some ideas you might have? And we have some of these, and you can check what you might be interested in doing. It's early on for you to actually design your capstone project. So as we go through the year, you'll work with, our team here and peer mentors, and you'll get some support on what you want to do and develop that. But you do kind of propose something at the beginning as part of your application. Okay, so I'm just going to check my notes here for the time. Oh, okay, good. We're all good on time. All right, so who's eligible? So let's take a look at who is eligible. So the program is for educators working directly in grades 6 through 12. So I did see some people at the beginning when we were doing the poll that are in the lower grades. I would invite you to stay with our community. Right now, the program is for educators that are working directly with students in grades 6 through 12 because our curriculum is focused on that. But we have had ambassadors, or first year we had ambassadors that were K through 12. So we have ambassadors that are beyond the 6 through 12 focus, all to say that this content is scalable and it's really relevant to grades 4 and 5, as well as the higher grades. So we invite you to stay with the community. We're expanding in new ways. And while you can't apply for the fellowship this year, you can participate in the online modules. So stick with us. So anyone is eligible in those grades, including classroom teachers. You don't have to be a visual arts teacher as long as you're working to foster the visual arts. So you can be in social studies or US history, or doing, wanting to explore arts integration. We've had some language arts teachers, Hebrew teachers. You can also be a district and school administrator, librarian, a private art tutor, or a teaching artist. So if you have any questions about your eligibility, and you're not on this list, or you just want to double check, you can reach out to us at arteffact@womoka.org, and we can help you assess that. Okay, and the key dates, this is just for you to mark this down. So the applications are due September 14th, and then expect the notifications by Friday, October 16th. So that's about a month out, but we hope to go a little faster to give you the notification, but no later than the 16th. So you should hear, at least 3 weeks out, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks out, but no later than the 16th. Then the program would kick off on the 28th with that required module. And then you have the series of modules throughout the year that you're coming to, 4 of the 6 at the least. And then we see So you want to check those dates. And those modules run from 4 to 5:15, except module 1 and module 6, which are 4 to 6 p.m. And then you're working on your capstone project throughout the year. At the end of the year, we require you to submit, towards the end of the year, you submit a proposal for your capstone project, meet with the director of the program. We talk about your project, have it approved, then it's implemented no later than June 1st. So everything kind of ends June 1st. At the end of the year, we also ask you to do a final report where you submit some documentation about your project, and that's like a written report as well as some media, photos or videos, website link to support what you've done. And, we're meeting along the way, so there's a couple of touch points. And then, and then your stipend is dispersed at the end of the program once you've completed your capstone project. And there's a 250 materials credit that we give you upfront to help start with materials in your classroom. All right, so I am 2 minutes ahead of schedule according to my computer, and just wanted to see if we have any questions right now, Katie, before we go into the next segment of our program, which is hearing from some of our previous ambassadors. So any questions, go ahead and post those in the chat and we can address those. Any questions about Artifact or the program fellowship or overview?
We haven't had anything yet, but I do encourage anyone to post now.
Go ahead and post, and if we don't get to it, we'll come back to it at the end. So in the next segment of our program, I'm just thrilled to introduce our 4 guest speakers. So I'm thrilled because we don't get to see each other very often. We see each other online, and we've seen each other throughout the last 3 years and sometimes at the conferences. So thank you to our 4 previous ambassadors who have agreed to come on and share about their experience, and kind of left it open for the ambassadors. I pulled examples from their capstone projects so they can tell you about, how the program has been useful and impactful for them. Let's get started. So I'd like to begin by introducing Karina Alvarez de Lugo, who's an ambassador from 2024-2025. And Karina is an upper school art and design faculty member at King's School in Stamford, Connecticut. And so, Karina, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, welcome. We can hear you. Awesome. Okay, Karina, well, we're just delighted. Let's go. We pulled some slides for you, Karina, and I wanted to kick off with your slide because Karina had a winner in this year's 2026 competition. So let's start here, Karina, and then, I've pulled a couple of other slides that you've seen, but we would love to hear about your experience in terms of teaching and learning with the Unsung Heroes, working with the students on Artifact, and just about the fellowship and how that's helped with your professional development.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share my experience as an Artifact Ambassador. When I applied for the fellowship, what immediately caught my attention was the potential to use the Unsung Hero project to prepare my Advanced Art 2 students for the work involved in Advanced Art 3 and AP, how to develop and structure an independent artistic process. I was also drawn to the idea of unsung heroes themselves. They are ordinary people who did extraordinary things, often without recognition. And the Lowell Milken Center has this incredible portal that gives students a place to discover and research their stories. I realized there was an opportunity to teach students something much more personal, that you don't have to be famous to make a difference. You can be an ordinary person who sees something that needs to change, cares enough to act, and perhaps become someone else's unsung hero someday. That became the foundation for my capstone, Illuminating the Unsung, a visual and reflected tribute. My original capstone asked my advanced art students to research an unsung hero from the LMC database, create mind maps and sketches to develop a work of art inspired by that person, and write an impact statement. The goal was to bring the work together in an exhibition and eventually a student publication. But one of the things I value most about the ambassador experience is that the capstone didn't remain a one-time project. I taught it again this past school year and will continue to do so, but I didn't simply repeat it. I used what I learned through the fellowship to deepen the process. This year, I built more intentional stages in the project before students began their final artwork, research, presenting their findings to the class, mind mapping, developing connections, guided brainstorming, exploring visual approaches, media exploration, and class critiques. I also encouraged students to choose a hero who personally spoke to them and to determine the medium and format that best communicated their ideas. That helped me move closer to what I originally hoped to accomplish, giving students a structured process while still allowing genuine independence and personal voice. And that's where the ambassador program has been especially valuable. The LMC resources gave my students access to stories they might never have encountered otherwise. But the fellowship also included professional development led by experience education, covering everything, as Tony mentioned, like from character and value and STEAM to visual storytelling and social impact, with classroom-ready resources and lesson plans. The storytelling through art session in particular gave me a framework for which students think about how character, heroic actions, sacrifice, impact, and heroic traits could translate into visual language. I was able to take those ideas and bring them directly into my classroom. And being part of an ambassador community has given me collegial connections with educators who are also thinking about how can we use these stories and the arts to help students grow. Then came the competition. This year, 2 of my students became finalists, and one, as Tony mentioned, was selected for an award. The competition also became an extension of the learning. Students used the ARTEFFECT rubric to self-assess both their artwork and impact statements before I evaluated their work. Seeing my students' work recognized was incredibly rewarding. But what meant even more to me was seeing students discover that they had something meaningful to say. One of my students said, "The Unsung Hero project taught me that art can be a voice for the unheard and a bridge to the past." She also wrote about how learning about her unsung hero inspired her to speak out for what she believes in. That to me captures what this experience can offer students. What I didn't fully anticipate when I became an ambassador was that the impact wouldn't just come from the resources. It would come from having a community of educators who are also asking how we can help students use art to tell stories that matter. For me, the real value of being an ARTEFFECT ambassador has been taking an idea that mattered to me and turn it into something my students could own. They aren't simply learning about unsung heroes, they are researching, questioning, making choices, taking creative risks, and discovering that their own voices can have purpose. And ultimately, I think that's what makes this such a powerful education experience. We are teaching students how to make art, but we're also encouraging them to be curious about other people's lives, to recognize courage and contributions in others, and to understand that they too have the capacity to make a difference. I'm incredibly grateful to have been part of the ARTEFFECT Ambassador community, and I'm excited to see what the next group of ambassadors will bring back to their students.
Thank you, Karina. That is just amazing. I'm blown away by how beautiful and thoughtful and reflective and articulate that whole statement was. And thank you for touching upon so many things in your sharing out about your process with your students. What I really like is that you were, going deep with your students and that you built on year 1 to year 2. As you were telling us, how you refined your instructional practice, but really aligning it with the values that you wanted your students to gain from looking at the stories of these heroes. And congratulations on the success in the competition. That first work of art that we were looking at, the competition winner was a large format work. So you can see, I don't know if you would go back just like maybe 2 slides. Oh, this one, yes, a large format work by Marilyn Somerville. So you can see it's almost as large as Marilyn. But we're so, yeah, and it has beautiful stitching on it. So thank you for guiding your students and for being here and being an awesome ambassador. So next up we have, and we invite, if you have any questions for our speakers, go ahead and post them in the chat and then we'll circle back. So thank you, Karina. We're going to move on to our
My
next.
pleasure.
Yes, thank you. And it's so wonderful to see you and hear your voice. So now our next guest is Dr. Stevie Newbold Jr., who's based in Washington, D.C. And Stevie is a digital arts and design and photography teacher at MacArthur High School. Another star ambassador. We've just had so many excellent teachers come through the program. So Stevie, I'd like to turn it over to you. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. So I have a bit of an update. Our school's name was changed from MacArthur High to John R. Thompson High
Oh,
School,
okay.
who John Thompson was an advocate and a basketball coach at Georgetown University, a DC native and an important person, quite an unsung hero in our community that we celebrate, and our school is now named for him. So on next Monday, when school starts, we'll be cutting the ribbon of our newly opened school, where I'm the inaugural art teacher. So
Wow,
no
awesome.
more
Okay,
MacArthur.
congratulations. That's exciting. Are we going to get that updated and
Yep.
explore about his history?
Yep.
So, Stevie, we'd love to hear. I mean, you've done so many amazing things, Stevie. We would love to hear about what's been meaningful for you. 2 years ago, you came through the Ambassadors Program. You've been working with the topics in so many different ways. We pulled some slides from your capstone, but we would love to hear about your capstone, your experience with working with the students, or just, how the program has impacted you professionally.
All right, thank you. So I just want to touch a bit about my experience as a whole in this program. Karina was a part of my cohort, and I was a part of the second ambassador class of Artifact. And I found that these people, although we met online, we did this year-long professional development online, but we've become this professional learning community that have leaned on each other for many things. So we see each other at the National Art Education Association conference. We just saw each other this summer at the National Leadership Conference. So I find it quite fulfilling for my personal and my professional career to be attached to this organization that before I joined, I didn't know anything about it. So I saw a post on maybe one of the NAEA chat boards or something like that. And I was like, I think this will be a great thing for me to apply to. And I submitted an application and I was accepted and excited for the acceptance. But I wanted to make sure that what the objective of the Unsung Hero program, it matched my students' needs. And I work in the Title I school in Washington, D.C., and a lot of my students, they need to understand why they're doing something to buy into that process. So I first had to connect with the students and say, hey, what is your imagined future for yourself? Them being able to explore their imagined futures through multimodal making allowed for them to then connect with the stories of the unsung heroes in this more dynamic way that was unexpected for me because the competition was no longer at the top of my to-do list. It was getting the students to reflect, to be able to research a topic, to be able to connect to the unsung hero in a way, and also to push their artistic creativity because a lot of times and because I'm a visual arts teacher, fortunately, I have the pedagogy in my repertoire to be able to teach a lesson for students to use their artistic skill to bring an idea to life. But the unsung hero cohort, I feel like it's suitable for anyone that teaches science, social studies, math, like any of those teachers will be able to use this curriculum because it's STEAM focused and push the ideas and allow their students to write across content, to create across content, to use ideas and transform them to images and bring them to life. And I think that's the most powerful part of this organization because I didn't realize it would have an impact on me in my life so much. The lessons, the 6 lessons, the lesson plans that you'll get, those are robust, highly effective rated lesson plans. Every time my administrators come to my room and see me doing unsung hero projects, scores are always through the roof. So if you're somebody that's trying to push your practice and go over to that next level, these lessons will allow you to be able to reflect on your own practice. So that's one reason I would support you applying to the fellowship. As for the benefits of the fellowship, the $200 supply, the $250 supply card, that came in clutch. I bought picture frames, 18 by 24-inch picture frames that still live in the cafeteria as a permanent gallery. I was able to frame the students' work in this way where kids, students who haven't even taken art class, they're coming up to me in the hallway asking, when can their work be displayed around the school? That's already an opening between me and students who I haven't even taught yet because of this experience. So it could be as much as you make it, but you also don't have to do everything. That slide that we saw a couple of slides ago, that the person did like 4 or 5 different things, that you don't have, like, overachieving doesn't mean you have to do 5 things. You could do one thing in a great way and you can still be an overachiever. You can focus, and that's what I did. I had an exhibition, a one night only exhibition where students and their families were able to just talk about their unsung heroes and present upon their unsung heroes. The school funded pizza for the event. The buy-in was there because admin saw that my students really loved this project, and it was contagious as well because the social studies teachers would come to me and say, Dr. Nubo, what's this project you're doing? Because the kids are talking about Claudette Colvin and this person and that person. And we haven't covered that in class, but we covered it in art class, right? So just opening that door for your students to be able to tap into a moment that they didn't even realize was there, was possible for them to tap into. Something else that I want to cover. So in 2024, 2025, I was named the Standing Ovation Excellence in Teaching Award. I got that award the same year I was doing this ambassadorship, but I just recently got a nomination for the DC 2027 Teacher of the Year. And
Congratulations, Stevie. That's amazing.
thank you.
Awesome. All
But
right.
the best
Congratu-
part is one of the questions is a 750-word essay about Artifact and how that pushed my practice and how I used it to have kids write and research. So I feel like I'm already a winner just being a part of it. But the fact that I have this, in my repertoire to talk about so confidently and feel so passionately about the content, um, it is amazing. So I'll always be a cheerleader and send as many emails as possible to tell people that they should apply, to the program because I think it's career changing. And I was already on a nice trajectory with my career, but this just put me into a place where I'm no, because I was ready to retire from teaching. I'm in my 20th year teaching. This reinvigorated my practice. So I feel like I can do another 10 years, no problem. And Artifact is a part of my repertoire now. So I can't wait to see how it evolves because now the kids, I heard Karina say she did it with her higher level classes. I was doing this with ninth graders because we just opened the school in 2023, 2024. So we only started with a freshman and sophomore class. So I was um, charged with only teaching the undergrad, the underclassmen. So I had the lower grades, but now they're juniors and seniors. I can't do what I did with them in ninth and 10th grade. It was like, we did this already, Dr. Newbold. But I have to reimagine. And I can. It's 150 people in the directory. They haven't covered all 150. Each student was responsible for researching three and then picking one to bring to life. But there's 150 of them. They're not going to say we did this already. So
Stevie, there's a couple of things that you mentioned that I just want to call out. Congratulations.
thank
One
you.
of the things, that you said is that you've had a lot of opportunities come your way. A lot of recognition of your stellar art teacher, but Karina as well. And I think, um, when you're putting yourself out there with Artifact and really taking that step in professional development and, shining and taking the opportunity as an art educator, things come your way. And so I see that, not that Artifact going to take the credit for that, but like just that ability to put yourself out, I think it has a life of its own. And so really want to, kind of underscore that point that you made. You made a lot of good points. And there's another good point that you made. I'm going to think a bit when we come back. I'm going to think of it because I didn't write it down. But let's move on because I want to hear from our two other ambassadors. So thank you, Stevie. It's always wonderful to hear from you. And we're going to hear from our next ambassador, Miss Melissa Sylvester, who's been an ambassador with us since our inaugural cohort in 2023. And Melissa had already been involved with the program. She actually wrote one of our first and only lesson plans before we started this. So Melissa is an art teacher from Yarmouth High School in Maine. And welcome, Melissa.
Hi, I'm so glad. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Great.
Go ahead,
I'm
Melissa.
so happy to be here. I'd like to start off by saying that I've had, as Tony just mentioned, I've had the privilege of working with the Artifact Project since its inception in 2015. My journey began with my week-long fellowship at the Lowell Milken Center for Unsung Heroes in Fort Scott, Kansas. I also was lucky enough to be one of the first groups of the ambassadors during the 2023-2024 school year. Although I had been teaching the Artifact curriculum since the fall of 2016, the ambassador program was a transformative experience. In particular, the series of modules in which I participated throughout the program were truly exceptional in their depth and scope. The presenters provided in-depth, valuable activities and resources that were broken down into meaningful exercises that I could implement into many of the different classes that I teach. My capstone focused on raising awareness of the exemplary work of my students and emphasizing the significance of the Artifact Project. At the beginning of the school year, I initiated a collaboration with our local town library and the Arts Alliance, organizing a community art exhibit to serve as a culminating event for the project. To further showcase the students' work, I created a dedicated website featuring their paintings alongside their full impact papers. Additionally, I designed a flyer to promote the exhibition and embedded a QR code that provided direct access to the website. I posted the flyers throughout the school, published them on the school's website, and shared them via email with both parents and their students, both students and parents. A week after the exhibit was installed, I organized an artist reception that brought together the students, artists, their families, and friends. This was amazing. This artistic celebration successfully emphasized the value and impact of the students' creative achievements. It was a heartfelt experience to see the students surrounded by their family and friends, admiring their work in a professional space. The sense of accomplishment that filled the room was outstanding. Because the students had so much choice and ownership throughout the project, they poured their heart and souls into their work and were incredibly proud of what they created and learned. Seeing that pride reflected in their faces and shared with their loved ones was the most rewarding aspects of the entire project. All of them showed up, every single student in the class and their families. So, a quote from one of my students, Ella, said, "I aspire to succeed in a male dominated field such as STEM or science. I pride myself on passion and I hope to make a significant impact on the lives of those around me, be it through engineering breakthroughs or scientific discoveries or medical advancement, or solely through the art that I create. If anyone has said that I am capable of such a thing, Sylvia Earle has proven it trifold. Through her story, I know that I can inspire others, even just in my community. In fact, my school's drawing and painting class will display my artwork, Sylvia Earle in the Depths of Discovery, at the town library, where I hope that of the 100 or so eyes that pass over my painting, a small handful considers it a moment longer, hoping it makes a lasting impact on their lives. If my painting has done that, then it has done all that it needed to do. A highlight of being an ARTEFFECT ambassador was undoubtedly the final presentations of our capstone projects, where I witnessed firsthand the remarkable creativity and passions of my colleagues as they showcased their ARTEFFECT projects. These presentations emphasized the profound impact that such initiatives can have on student engagement and learning. To this day, I continue to teach the ARTEFFECT project. It is the unit that students look forward to most. Through this project, they combine research, creativity, and presentation skills while learning about the struggles and triumphs of unsung heroes, fostering empathy along the way. This realization, combined with the important work of visual communication and elevating notable acts of their heroes, has a profound and lasting impact on the lives of students.
Melissa, yay, thank you so much. Another beautiful, I'm just blown away by Karina, Stevie, and Melissa, and I know I'm gonna be Michelle. We're gonna hear Michelle. We're gonna get Michelle in there, but I want to just thank you, Melissa, because you said so many important things. First, I want to highlight, your experience as an LMC fellow, and we have fellows program through the LMC Fellows in Lone Milken Center in Kansas, and one of our ambassadors has gone to do that opportunity as well. And I wanted to say what you were speaking about, professionalizing the presentation of the artworks and how meaningful that has been in your exhibition. And now we've seen that at MCAD with the museum exhibition. It's so important when we were talking about having students recognize the power of their own art making. And so thank you for continuing to support that professionalization of these young artists as they approach these projects holistically, from concept all the way to presentation, and so many other things that you said in there. But for the sake of time, we're going to hear from Michelle. And thank you, Melissa. That was just perfect, and just like blown away by all these positive. Oh yeah, the module 6 when we all share out. so fun. It's kind of like a marathon, but you'll look forward to everyone has a few minutes to share out their slides, and it's wonderful to see what everyone's creating in all of the various ways. So thank you for pointing that out. So next up, we have Michelle Vivanti, who's joining us from Jericho Middle School in Jericho, New York. And Michelle is a social studies teacher. I want to applaud her for taking this on as an arts integrated project. And Michelle has had a lot of success in the competition, so we pulled up some of her competition winners and finalists, and would love to hear from Michelle now. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Tony. Good to see you. Thank you guys for inviting me on tonight. I'm happy to really be here and share about the program to hopefully inspire more people to apply for the ambassadorship. So thank you for the introduction. I am a social studies teacher. So this is a little bit of a really creative outlet for me and my students to change the pace of what we typically do in a social studies classroom. So when you're a history teacher, to engage the students, you don't want to just, you know, do the same old same. You have to really tell them stories. History is a story. And when you tell a story to someone and you make it human, that's when people get engaged, whether it's students, whether it's adults, just bringing that human touch to something makes it more memorable and makes it more relatable. And so I had done a couple of smaller activities with my students prior to my ambassadorship. And I did note that kids were excited about it. And then when I joined last year's cohort, I was excited to work with other educators who could really teach me about the artistic part. Oh, there's Grace. The artistic part of this, and how to, through the modules, really incorporate different aspects of the heroic characteristics of these individuals, and also then how to encourage them to create their unique artwork. And so what I really love about this whole organization is that you feel so empowered and so supported by the directors and by the other educators and your peer mentor. In some of the comments I was reading earlier, why would somebody want to join this? And they say to impact students. And I think it really does impact them in a very different, unique way. It does help you to bond with those students. I have students who participated in this competition we didn't start up yet. School doesn't start for us until August 31st. But I have students who reach out over the summer and just kind of, these are amazing, amazing individuals who created these pieces. And I think that it really helps the students to feel heard. They might be the quieter students. They might see some of these characteristics in themselves when they research these individuals, and then say, you know what, maybe I can be impactful. Maybe I can do something. And relating to someone and teaching them the characteristics of what it means to be a hero and what it means to be an unsung hero really makes a difference and an impact on these students. So all of these students, Emily, Agnetha, and Zoe, they were remarkable individuals. And I could see when I was able to, some of them said to me it was a little bit strange to have my teacher giving me, my social studies teacher giving me art supplies, but they were so excited to get these things. And it was so exciting to, after I had done some classroom lesson plans as part of my capstone, just to have some after school, like jam sessions where they just came together and you could see their energy feeding off of each other, which was really cool. And they encouraged each other. It is a competition, but it didn't feel competitive in my room after school. It felt like these kids really looked at each other and said, and like really built each other up, like, wow, like that's so good, and I could just hear them and see them being like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. Oh my gosh, I really like how you did this. And that really was the most impactful thing for me as an educator, to just kind of see the kids in a different way. And then as also part of my the capstone, along with another one of my colleagues who also was an ambassador, we put the work on display, and grades 6 through 8 brought their classes down to see it. And you could see when the kids, like during their lunch period, if there was a class down, like they were proud of their work. They were proud to have it on display. It was on display for the community. And it was really inspiring to see how proud they were, and it made me really proud as an educator. And I just want to thank you again for, you know, encouraging more educators to get involved in this. The modules and the resources that are sent are really helpful. And you really do feel like a part of a powerful community of educators. So I have really enjoyed it, and I will continue to do the project with my students. And I encourage anyone here who's listening in that that it is a wonderful, wonderful organization and program to get involved in.
Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wanted to just congratulate you on the success that you saw as a using arts integration and sharing your experience with that, and the success that you had in the competition. So many ambassadors coming from Jericho. So looking forward to continued participation with your school there in New York and the amazing students at Jericho School. And I also want to say Michelle had the opportunity to visit our MCAD exhibition in DC. And so that was very exciting to make that connection. So we're actually at the end of our time. I want to thank everyone for joining. We have Katie's put the link to the application. It's if you go to our website, you will be able to see the application there. Just a reminder that it's due the September 14th, Tuesday. No, yeah, Monday or Tuesday. I think it's Monday, September 14th. And if you have any questions that we didn't address this evening, you can go ahead and email us directly. We hope that you will apply, and I want to give another special thank you to our 4 guest speakers. I saw Lalitha Morali on the call, and we didn't have a chance to call on her, but it's so wonderful to see another ambassador come to join us and say hello. And yeah, thank you to everyone. So we're going to do an unmute and say a collective goodbye. And we look forward to seeing your applications and your questions come through. So goodbye, everyone.
Bye,
Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Melissa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, y'all.